Landowning farmers and agriculture workers determine the hierarchy in the fields of western Uttar Pradesh. Charan Singh was the most prominent leader to give a sense of identity and unity to the land-owning West UP farmers. Other leaders like Mahinder Singh Tikait did their bit, but no one was able to eclipse Prime Minister Charan Singh in this region. Not even his family. Not even after he had passed. Son Ajit Singh formed the Rashtriya Lok Dal but lost support steadily on the ground. Today the party has no seat in parliament and just one in the state assembly. Western UP is a strong arm of the current farmers' agitation. Their interests are different, sugarcane over mandis, but they have joined hands with Punjab and Haryana for the repeal of the 3 controversial farm laws. Rakesh Tikait has taken the lead and is today one of the major leaders of the farmers' conglomerate. Ajit Singh, a bit isolated, stepped in earlier this year to support the farmers. He passed away, but his son Jayant Chaudhary has taken up the cudgels for the farmers. The Jat vote in this region is substantial, but has a real impact electorally only if it ties up with other communities, as it has in the past, and might do so again for the assembly elections next year, with the farmers preaching the doctrine of harmony and amity against divisiveness and hate. Unity is the mantra right now and has held despite an exacting and stressful 8 months. It has not been easy and will be tougher as the elections approach.
So we have with us this time Jayant Chaudhary, who is the son of Ajit Singh and the grandson of Charan Singh, who was probably the first leader to consolidate the Jat vote and the farmers' vote post-independence. Jayant himself is now the new president of the Rashtriya Lok Dal after Ajit Singh passed. But he's not new to politics. He has contested the elections. He was MP from Mathura until he lost to Hema Malini in 2014. So Jayant, welcome. And before his death, Ajit Singh had sort of extended an umbrella kind of support to the farmers, especially when they were running into some kind of trouble also and the controversies had begun. And they seem to be, even Tikait was very happy about that. Now, how is your relationship with the farmers' movement? And are you going to be working with them very closely, or are you working?
Well, farmers' issues have been close to my heart at an individual level. And of course, our party has represented them in manner. Whenever you talk about Chaudhary Charan Singh Ji or even my father, Chaudhary Ajit Singh Ji, their lives will be defined by what they did for the agri sector and the rural sector. So as such, I felt it was a moral imperative for me as well to reach out to the farmers when we saw such a massive outpour of emotion and support for the agitation. It's now almost been 8 months, and still it seems that the government is largely insensitive to the feeling and to the issues raised by the farmers. So I've been actively supporting the cause. I perhaps attended more than 40 or 50 meetings, which we called Kisan Panchayats, and we held them all over UP. I've even been to programs in Rajasthan. And I realized that because this was a largely apolitical, non-party-led movement, and within the many factions which are the leaders of the agitation, there was this issue that they felt that they didn't want any political representative to really come and share stage. So we realized that, and we realized that at least political organization must take the issues to the people. And that's why we actually organized it. RLD organized about 50 Kisan Panchayats on our banner. And we invited everyone. And the farmer organizations representatives who were active in that district, they came on board and they attended those meetings.
Okay, so, at one side they say they're not political, but at the same time, like in Bengal, they have been traveling. Even in Haryana, they're taking positions against the BJP simply because the BJP is not listening to their demands or conceding their demands. So, in that sense, in the forthcoming elections in UP, it will have a political turn, won't it? It'll have an impact on the vote.
See, I'm of the view that a direct political action is required. And I have been trying to explain this point of view even to the leaders of the apolitical movement.
Yeah.
I think they're also realizing their position. And essentially, it is about emboldening farmers and rural communities to participate in the political process. They must be more political. They must be politically aware, and their issues must be mainstream into Indian politics. That's the only way we can have real sustainable change. Otherwise, you'll see one agitation, some small issues may be considered or approved, but the real larger sort of systemic issue will remain unaddressed. So farmers must be aware of the political power. That was Chaudhary Charan Singh Ji's mantra. And of course, Lokdal, in our own way, in our region, we will try and represent those issues.
Right. So, Lokdal, I've covered it earlier and been all across with your leaders. It has always been sort of a little animosity between that Jat vote and to some extent the Dalit vote. Then they came together, the Jat and the Muslim came together until it was fractured again in 2014. So how does this all work now in this new mesh of politics?
Can I be frank, Seemaji? Every time I come on any interview, I get to hear Jat a lot.
Okay.
Which is a little unfair because you can't define a person by that. And even Chaudhary Charan Singh Ji had a much larger canvas. And that is my ambition as well. And I think that's in the larger national interest. We try and stop using these tags as much as we can. As far as vote is concerned, voters are there used to be a time when voters were more attached to these sort of affiliations. But I think now voters are voting at a very individual level. Even within one household in a village or in a city, you will find that there is different votes being cast.
That's so true.
So, we try and summarize it and try and understand it from a perspective where we try and see predict where votes will happen, how they will happen. But largely, I think this discussion doesn't really have that much
of resonance on the ground.
Resonance at the ground.
Yeah.
Having said that, I understand what you're trying to say is, yes, the farming community and the workers, the agricultural workers, have a certain relationship. And it is a tenuous one because also there is naturally to be a conflict as well. But I think largely both these communities have realized that their identities are at stake, their futures are at stake. And so, for instance, even in this current agitation, you will find that there is a large level of participation from Dalit organizations and people and activists also are coming on board and supporting the cause. So I think this is an opportunity where we can actually try and smoothen out the tensions. In my last election, we fought in a Mahagathbandhan where BSP was also on board. So I think, and so you find the imagery of Chaudhary Charan Singh and Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar being put side to side, whether it's politically or it's in this current agitation. I think
what about minorities? Because they are the ones, there was that fracturing of that whole unity. I don't want to call it a vote bank, but there was a certain level of unity which Western UP had reached. And then it got all fractured. So do you see that coming back?
See, absolutely. It has already come about. And I find that largely there are underlying reasons for why riots happen. Tensions build up, then it needs a trigger. It needs someone to try and, utilize it for their own nefarious, limited political means, which is what happened in Muzaffarnagar in 2013. But then it takes time, but then eventually people realize that they have nothing to gain from this. People lost on both sides. The economy was deeply affected. The social fabric was deeply affected. And I think now, organically, people themselves want to repair the relationships. So small level meetings have happened. I've attended Bhaichara programs where it has been attended by sections of the minority and the majority. So I think that's an attempt that we have made. But I think largely it's an organic issue where people today are fed up. They want governance on real issues. And I think the next election is going to be an inflection point where people will force those in power to answer for real issues rather than talk about love jihad and Hindu Muslim and the same 2013 or Kairana or those sort of issues.
Yeah. So before taking you a little bit into the future, I want to take you a little bit into the past. See, what happened in partition was there was this whole big movement which wanted a theocratic state. And then they divided India and India got divided. I'm going to put it very simply. And they formed a theocratic state. And that had its own appeal amongst the minorities who moved away. Now there is this whole thing about a theocratic state in India and a certain, a majoritarian state in India. And India had sort of grown out of that, was a very modern, secular, democratic, united state, which had moved onto a path of progress, which was very different from that little neighbor line there, But now do you feel that that has a bigger impact and a bigger appeal in your part of the world, because you come from the grassroots there? Or can it be countered with all these issues that you're talking about?
So let me admit that, yes, that thinking has had significantly more traction than it perhaps had earlier. If you look at the debates in our Constitutional Assembly or, when the Constitution was framed, or several events in Indian history when these sort of questions came up or were debated and discussed within society or within parliament or outside. I think, yes, in the last decade or so, there is a larger number of people who are saying that, why, terms like minority appeasement or, yes, majority must dictate what the nation's path is going to be. I think that sort of thought has gained more traction. It's become more powerful politically and socially. But I think it's very important to counter it. I'm talking from an individual perspective, and I also really truly believe that if our nation is to really prosper, given the divergences, given the differences, given our diversity, it's impossible to even imagine that it's going to be a unipolar nation. And now you find that even RSS has been making noises and making statements that we are all the same. Yes, we are all the same, but there is also diversity. And I think we need to respect the diversity. We are not all Hindus. We're not all, even within Hindus, there are Samaji, there's so many different value systems. There are people who don't believe in God, they're atheists. They are also granted constitutional protection. So I think, I'm very firm on this. Governments need to be, keep their distance from these sort of issues, and leaders can pray in their own individual time.
Yeah.
For me, I find it very disturbing to see a chief minister devote 4 to 5 hours every day in prayer, and visibly so.
Yeah.
If they did that on their own time, a prime minister spending so much time at a ghat, really, I think it's sort of wearing your religious identity on your sleeve,
Right.
which I find disconcerting.
Yeah, true. So now back to the farmers' movement and the future. They've had 8 months, nobody's listened to them. It is true that they're not going back. But the longer, I think, whatever any government would play on was that the longer they stay out in the field, the less you listen to them, the more the division can come in. There can be more problems within the leadership. And slowly, a certain lot of people who were supporting it initially will start moving away. Have you seen that happen? Do you think it will happen?
Well, it's been almost 8 months, and I don't see
Yeah.
that happening.
Okay.
There are people from villages ready to come out and support whenever is required.
Right.
So that on-ground connect is very strong. In fact, right now we had Panchayat elections in Uttar Pradesh. Forget what happened in the Zilla Panchayat Adhyaksh position, because that was all managed.
Yeah.
But if you look at the number of members, non-BJP in a state which is a majority ruled by BJP with an iron fist and a very strong sort of where party is state and state is party. Despite that, if you look at the number of members, non-BJP that won, It was a clear mandate where farmers said that, yes, we're going to exercise our vote, we're going to vote against BJP. So I think politically it is still having a deep impact. And yes, I understand that BJP might have felt that because they do not want to give in, that was the next best strategy for them, was to try and divide and rule. But it's not been successful.
So it's strong in Western UP, right? The unity
It is strong in
the
Western
movement
UP,
is strong.
Haryana and Punjab, and even in Rajasthan, because there is a certain history to it. If you look at the independence movement, if you look at the unionist mission, Chaudhry Chotu Ram or Chaudhry Charan Singh Ji, this was the core political alliance. And in this entire region, there was a shared affinity, cultural, on issues. And I think that still exists. So initially, Western UP farmers came out because they felt that Punjab and Haryana ke kisanon ke sath bura ho raha hai. Then slowly they realized that yes, because cash crop here is sugarcane. So initially they did not understand, and there are not that many mandis here.
Yeah.
So with the issue, perhaps initially there was not that connection. But because of the shared affinity, farmers are feeling that yes, we are being slighted, we are being ignored. And that's why they're on the streets.
So do you feel that there's a pan-India appeal, because it doesn't seem to be spreading outside this belt? Is there any particular reason? I know Maharashtra, of course, the farmers come up and they've been having a lot of protests, but somehow either it's the fault of the media because we don't write it, of course, and you know how we play games also. But is that unity there much larger than the 3-4 states? Is it something that on call? Do they understand?
I think people who are aware of the issues do understand outside this core region. You have to also understand BJP has an immense propaganda machine, which is working 24/7. And yes, mainstream media in those other areas, other states, southern India, they perhaps are not reporting in the same manner where there are other media or independent media or social media channels which are bringing out more truths, if you might say.
Yeah.
So I feel that also what BJP is doing is trying to attempt an othering of the movement, where they're saying these are large farmers, these are Jats. So they'll go to other communities and say and create stories or myths where they'll say, okay, Modi ji is against the large farmers and they're going to give you pieces of land or redistribute land, or there are no mandis in this region. So maybe Adani and Ambani will come and buy directly from you. So you will gain. So in those states where anyway states do not purchase crops,
right,
and that MSP is not an effective regime, then some farmers might believe that yes, with private sector involvement, with competition, they might get better rates. Right. So I think that is an argument that is being put forth by the BJP machine to sort of weaken the movement, but largely emotionally and for the thinker, for the person who's an activist. Even in Telangana or even maybe in Assam, I think the issue does hold true. Yes, in Tamil Nadu, you see the assembly has been very active. The new government has come in and they've passed resolutions. So there has to be some sort of political feedback coming that yes, farmers are for the movement.
Okay, for a last thing now, to go into the elections that are going to be coming up in UP, you think this coalition, Akhilesh Yadav is reaching out to you. I think you've spoken with him. Do you think it has to be a completely inclusive kind of a coalition, or can you move without bringing in the Congress and the BSP as has been suggested?
So a simplistic analysis from someone based in Delhi would say, last time Parliament, all three parties were together. And now they're not. So it's not going to be the same thing. And the fact of the matter is, this is a state election. There are different issues at play. People are going to look at the leadership equation. Who is an alternate to Yogi in Lucknow? Who can provide good governance? Who can, give rational science a chance rather than talk about hokey-pokey solutions to immense tragedy and challenge like COVID. So I think on COVID response, on farmers' issues, on unemployment, it's going to be UP-specific policies and Yogi's failures that are going to be at the tipping point. So I think if you look at it, at that issue, Samajwadi has a grassroots presence. And for us and them, we actually fought the last election. I think given the current environment, it was important that we stay the course, which is why despite us not having sealed the deal, we still have not finalized the seats. But yes, largely there is an agreement, there's an ideological agreement, and there is an affinity because of course we both have worked together in the past and we represent,
Yeah,
same
and you're
sort of
young and yeah, absolutely.
thinking, and we're both young. So I think, yes, there is an opportunity here and we probably shall be working together.
Okay.
So I think that is going to be the credible opposition. If you look at current elections, Zilla Panchayat, I frankly didn't see BSP participate.
Yeah.
I don't see Congress really getting that traction on the ground.
Yes.
So voters are going to have to decide. People who do not want BJP, who want to vote out this government, are then going to look at this equation and look at the alternate which Samajwadi and RLD will present.
Okay.
Favorably so, I believe.
Okay. So that makes a lot of sense. Thanks a lot, Jen. We'll be back soon on this. The BJP is very well entrenched in Uttar Pradesh. It has been able to sell its Hindu Rashtra concept very successfully in this backward large state of India, where it is seen as the solution by many for all the ails of non-governance, bad health care, low economy, victimization, exploitation. Of course, there has been a little bit of a dent, and how much we will only know later, but there has been a dent in this narrative because of the farmers and their movement in West UP. Under Rajesh Tikayat and others, the farmers have most effectively challenged the BJP in the state, far more effectively really than the opposition parties. It is only very recently that Akhilesh Yadav and Jayant Chaudhary have come together to form a coalition, and the impact of all this was seen in the Panchayat elections, where the opposition has done relatively very well. Whether this will move in the same fashion into the assembly elections several months from now, or whether this is just a one-off result will remain to be seen as to how issues develop as we go along. The farmers are, of course, at the moment, a major entity and a major factor in any election or any decision of this kind taken in the state. The opposition parties, the two young men, Akhilesh Yadav and Jayant Chaudhary, have made it very clear they don't want to go with the BSP, which will probably fight on its own if it does. And even with the Congress, they do not want an alliance, but will obviously be quite willing to take the support either during or after the elections. Even so, the BJP's lead is huge. Whether they will be able to, whether the opposition, along with the farmers, they're all now working together, at least in Western UP, is able to dent this effectively, remains to be seen. Jayant Chaudhary has made it very clear in the interview earlier that it is not an easy proposition. It's going to be very, very difficult because they will be battling with the entire might organization of the BJP and the RSS, which have really been able to control the state and would be able also then to puncture and effectively stall any anti-wave that they might see. So it's going to be interesting days ahead. Let's see how it pans out. Thank you.